Welcome, everybody, to the midweek edition of our Two on Your Side Town Hall. Hope you're having a great Wednesday out there. I'm Kate Welsh-Chauffeur.
And thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Michael Wooten. You can see the number there on your screen. It's 849-2200 if you want to text us any comments or questions. Ahead for us this half hour, got voting questions. We know that you do, and we have more answers. We have another elections commissioner joining us live as we are just 6 days out from the final votes.
An election unlike any other. New Yorkers have been early voting for the first time in a presidential election, and the pandemic has caused so many changes everywhere. We have a special report tonight on what you can expect the night of November 3rd and beyond.
And then later on in the show, a hate crime suspect is still at large, even though there's an arrest warrant out for him. He didn't show up to court twice. Viewers are asking us about this local case, so we will look into what's happening.
We're going to get to all that, but we're going to start here. Your questions about the Amber Alert in Orleans County that has now been canceled. It was posted at 2:22 this afternoon for a baby named Natalie Huntington, who deputies say may have been abducted in Holly. We're still waiting to learn more about exactly what happened here, but again, the Amber Alert has been canceled. Still, as always, as happens, it has prompted some questions about how Amber Alerts actually work. Yeah,
we want to quickly walk you through that here at 5:30. Amber Alerts began in 1996 when journalists teamed up with local police to create an immediate warning system to help find abducted kids. The acronym stands for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response, but it was actually named for Amber Hagerman, a little girl who was kidnapped and murdered while riding her bicycle in Texas.
Here are the alert criteria. Law enforcement must confirm that an abduction has occurred. They must believe the child is in imminent danger, and there must be enough descriptive information, including about the suspect, such that law enforcement believes releasing it could help in a recovery. And finally, the victim must be 17 years old or younger. If all those criteria are met, law enforcement can do an Amber Alert, not just regionally like what happened today, but the information also goes into the National Crime Information Center, or the NCIC. And as far as this local case, again, we hope to learn more about it. Look for an update at the top of the hour at 6 o'clock. But now we're going to turn to Decision 2020 and Election Day quickly approaching. We keep learning more about how many people have already cast their ballots, and early voting is breaking a lot of records.
Yeah, according to data compiled by the United States Election Project, the early vote has already exceeded half of the votes total cast during the entire 2016 presidential election. You can see 50.4% already in compared to 4 years ago. And that includes early in-person voting and also absentee votes by mail. Here to talk about the trends in his part of Western New York is Chautauqua County Democratic Elections Commissioner Norman Green. Norm, thanks so much for coming on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
And we'd like to start with some numbers. This year, over 62% of Chautauqua County residents are active registered voters, and they have nearly 3,000 new voters this year.
And more of those new voters are voting early. Look at this. This is political data from a group called Target Smart. And of the people that have voted so far via absentee and early voting in Chautauqua County, 23% of them didn't vote at all back in 2016. These are new voters. And more unaffiliated voters, or those who haven't chosen a party, are turning out early than did 2 years ago, the first time we had early voting in this state.
So with all that said, Commissioner, we know voters here in Erie County are really swarming the polls, sometimes waiting in lines for hours. What's happening in Chautauqua County, where we should note there are just 3 early voting sites there?
Well, we're required by law to have 1 early voting site, and we have 3, so we have 3 times more than we're required. And it's been extremely busy, and at this point in time, about 15% of eligible voters, eligible expected voters have turned out to vote already. And if you combine that with the absentee voters, we got about 30% of our entire expected voter turnout has already cast ballots.
Hey, Norma, before I move on to the next question, what kind of wait times are you seeing there? Are you seeing the 2 hours like we're seeing here in Erie County?
We hit at the Chautauqua Mall in Lakewood, which is outside of Jamestown. We hit an hour on Saturday, and that's been our peak. We normally are at 20 minutes. On election day, we strive for and we normally are 5 to 10 minutes. So we're about double or maybe triple what it would be on election day for a voter. And so we're pretty happy, and the voters, we haven't seen many complaints.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any.
No, there are a lot more precincts that are available to people on Election Day. We asked this next viewer question to Niagara County's election commissioner yesterday, and we want to ask you the same question because it applies there. The viewer wanted to know, is there a place where voters can go to find out which early voting site has the shortest line, or maybe a phone number to call? And I don't think that's the case, but we bring up this question anyway so that you can maybe give people your recommendation. Are there better times of the day, better days of the week? What is the advice to avoid any of the longer lines?
Well, I got to tell you, for starting, it's difficult for us to know what's going to happen. We have no history. This is the first presidential election for early voting, so we're not quite sure what's going to happen. But during the usually the last hour of our early voting is the easiest to get into. Usually, people the last hour, for whatever reason, people just walk right up. Whereas 2 hours earlier, they might have been waiting 20 or 30 minutes.
At a time where we're kind of all sort of expected to expect the unexpected, we want to ask you about election night and your results. You know, obviously absentee votes that are mailed in won't be counted for days, but how do you anticipate, right now at least, if looking ahead, releasing the early vote tally? Is it going to all go out shortly after the polls closed, or will it be mixed in with the day of voting?
Historically, Chautauqua County, I'm pretty proud to tell you, is first in the state for giving results. And the early voting results will be dead on 9 p.m. I promise you that at votechautauqua.com. And normally
we lost Norman. We lost you for just a second there. Let's see. Are you back with us? No, it looks like we're frozen. I don't know if we can move on back so it's just me and Kate, or we're going to leave Norm on the screen there for a second. We appreciate you coming on. We'll try to maybe reestablish that, but we're pretty much out of time right now anyway. Thank you to our wonderful director moving us back there. All right, Norm is back with us. Hang on just a second. We'll try to get back to where we can finish that thought, because I think it was an important one. Norm, you were saying that you guys are, and to your credit, you're almost always first at getting these election results in. Finish that thought. We lost you there for a second.
Well, our results always are done by 10:30 at night. We're at home in bed watching your results on usually about 11:30. And so look forward to getting home and watching Channel 2 on election night, and we expect it again. Of course, it's going to be 7 days before we count the absentees, and the absentees in Chautauqua County, we're talking about 20,000 absentees potentially, and those will be wrapped up 7 days after the election.
Our elections guru here at Channel 2, who reaches out to all the county boards of elections and coordinates all this, always praises Chautauqua County. You guys are always on top of it, and we appreciate it, because it's going to be especially important to have clear and quick results this election as ever before. Norman Green, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us.
You're welcome. Thank you.